All right, man. I was sitting on this video for a couple days, but I got to it. But let's talk about how the Lions should have just drafted George Pickens over Jameson Williams. That was a guy I was hoping they would draft. Now, B. Taylor told me they were hoping to they was trying to jump over the draft Garrett Wilson, and that would have been great. I don't know if they cared about getting Chris Olave, who went. Garrett Wilson went at 10. I think Olave went at 12, and then I want to say Jameson Williams went at 13. Now the Lions, they traded picks 32, 34, 66. So the last pick in the first round, I believe it was, since the Rams won the Super Bowl. Two picks later, the second pick in the second round, and the 66 pick, whatever the hell that was. That's something in. Is that a is let me see real quick. I want to make sure. So that's around the third round. That's the third round. So and then they turned around and they got 12 and 46 from the Vikings. So they end up getting a second rounder for the Vikings and a 12th pick to move up to get Jameson Williams. So and the two guys he sat behind in college, and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, went ahead of him. But the thing about it as well too, he probably, if he didn't get injured, he would have been long gone. Now, I didn't hear anything in Jameson Williams' scouting report uh, about him dropping the ball. But then again, not many of us was looking at this scouting report because I don't really think he was a real possibility. And what you got to understand too is a lot of Detroit Lions fans is traumatized from draft busts that were receivers. So his strength, his weaknesses was long but lean and lanky. Suffered ACL. Press release is narrow and indecisive. Um, Strider requires extra time to get in and out of breaks. Competitiveness diminishes near the noise. I mean, okay. Instances where he failed to finish routes. Below average playing strength when battling for catch space. Inconsistent tracking and working back to underneath balls. So that was some of his weaknesses. His strengths. That's why I was record-breaking high school hurler, smooth route, takeoff with instant gas, able to excavate, cushion, and blow by corners. Extra burst before route break forces coverage to bail out. Separation feels inevitable on long form patterns. Post FBS 11 touchdowns of 30 plus yards. Limbed and with expansive catch radius. Plays with sudden hands to stab and secure high catches. Opens his hip, extends and grabs back shoulder and hit balls. Good yak stack when catching on the move. Return 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in 2021. So you would think, looking at the Lions and how they want players to be Detroit type players and, be gritty and all that, a guy who quits on routes and a guy who, diminish his game, diminishes near noise. That don't sound like, what Brad Holmes and, Dan Campbell looking for. It sounds like they made a trade and they say, you know what, hopefully Garrett Wilson or we can get Chris Olave, but if Jameson Williams there, we'll take him. But he don't sound like a Detroit guy. What they trying to build, and they went outside of their scope of support. They went outside their template and took a chance on the guy, that got issues with competitiveness, failed to finish routes in college sometimes, right? Um, so right then and there, it tells me that they got it. He has issues with finishing. He got issues competitiveness. That ain't the type of Detroit guy that you hear them talk about. Type of guys they want on the team. But I felt like they should have took George Pickens, and I felt then they should have took George Pickens. I mean, you go back, you move up, you send all those picks out there. And you could have took George Pickens with ease, bro. You could have took, and I don't understand why people come to Detroit and they put so much high value on tight ends and receivers. They draft these tight ends as well, and they don't do shit. They don't find a way to get them 10, 20 balls every now and again. They don't do shit. That's what we don't understand. They could have took Christian Watson. Could have waited till he fell in the second round, and then I think they had the 32nd pick. So they could have did whatever they wanted down there. They could have took Christian Watson. They could have took Kenneth Walker. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they had to pick of the litter. And George Pickens went. George Pickens, he went 52. So it wasn't. In hindsight, and right now, and things could change, and people are gonna sit there. You got some people that's gonna be, super duper optimistic about this. They're gonna be super optimistic about this, whatever. But you know, but that's what they should have did in hindsight. Pickens was coming off an injury too, and he was healthy coming into the draft process. And this draft could have turned out totally different from them because they could have ended up with Pickens and Watson. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they could have ended up at the end of the second round. I mean, they could have ended up with Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall. Then came back, because they had another pick in the second round too, and still got their guy and Pascal and all that. So I mean, you just sit there and wonder, they must have had I think they really put a lot of stock in Jameson Williams' speed, and they overlooked some things that was outside of their thing as far as effort and consistency and some things like that. You know, I think they overlooked those things. You know, and I think they overlooked those things. So, I mean, it is what it is. But George Pickens, it looked like he should have been the pick. And it don't look like, at least in Detroit, that's going, that Jameson gonna be able to change that. And that's one thing about those track guys is that with those track guys, um, them fast guys, they have those hamstring issues. They have those hamstring issues and soft tissue injury issues. But when you hear stuff about his effort and his consistency, that don't sound like a Detroit Lions football player. And it looked like they looked at the speed like this was bad in 24, and they said we'd just deal with the issues with the speed. We'd deal with the bullshit. He's just too physically talented. But Brad Holmes got to get out the mindset of drafting these injury-prone players, man. He does. He has to get out that mindset. Pickens is amazing. Pickens is amazing, and you could have just, I don't know why they put so much value. I don't know, and I don't know what Pickens medicals was, whatever. But I mean, Pickens is amazing, bro, and we all knew that he was the best receiver in this draft. Had he not got injured the majority of last season, and we all knew that. We all knew that. We all knew it. We all knew it. We all knew it. And you could have did so much more with those additional draft picks. You could have did so much more. So much more. But you live and you learn. The thirst is always real for Detroit GMs when it comes to tight ends and receiver. I still don't feel like they should have took a tight end that high this year because I don't believe in them utilizing the tight end to the best of his abilities. I don't believe it. I haven't seen it. They come here, ask them to block and run 5-yard routes. Why am I spending a first round pick, a second round pick on that shit? Let's keep it a hundred. Why am I spending that on that shit? But Pickens should have been the pick. He should have been a pick. They should have kept their picks, took George Pickens, and not look back. Um, and I said that from the beginning. They should have took George Pickens. I kind of got on B Taylor when he talked about them moving up with Jameson Williams. If I couldn't move up and get, if I was targeting Garrett Wilson and I couldn't move up and get Garrett Wilson, then I just wouldn't have moved up. I wouldn't have moved up. It's just they continue to take chances on receivers. Mike Williams missed a year of college, never recovered. They continue to take these chances on receivers early on. Titus Young, mental patient. They keep putting emphasis on these receivers. And I was a little bit surprised that Brad Holmes jumped up and took him, knowing that he found the gem in St. Brown later in the draft. But it is what it is. Let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live or drop video. Check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist for more videos like this. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole nine. Appreciate the love, support. Let me know what you girls and guys think in the comment section. One time for the one time. Goodfella TV. Peace.